Guys, welcome back to my channel. It's G from Happiness and Crafting. So today I thought we would do something a little bit vintagey for our Friday Freebie 31. So we have a couple of tags, and this little bit here is a pocket to go on this tag, and this is a pocket for this tag. So but you can use it, you can have separate tags here. These can be cut up here, so you can have a couple of journaling cards on there, so it's quite versatile. But I thought it was really lovely one today. So I'm going to pop that to the side because I've already cut them out here. So I'm going to show you. It was what we did was it was like a tag with a pocket, and then this one here, which I've already folded up, which you just fold in half, and then you've got a little flap there which you fold in, and that sticks down, and just a little bit of glue across the bottom, and that makes your pocket. So you've got a tag in a pocket on a tag in a pocket. So there we go. So that's how you can do it. That's how we designed it. Okay, but I've changed it a little bit as well with what I've made. And again, this one, like I said, you can cut these off separately and have two journaling cards. You can make it into like a little booklet with a little flap here, and pop some little bits of scrap paper in there, and sew them in, so you've got a little booklet. So there's lots of different ideas, but I'll show you what I've done with this one here. I've made it into like a little booklet. So we've got a tag on the front with a little tag on here, a little dingly dangly, and that goes in the pocket here. So that pops in. I popped a button on there, sewed on a button with a little elastic closure. You open it up like that, so you've got two notepads or little places to write notes on. And this is the other little pocket with a tag like that. So I've just popped it onto a little piece here, which makes it flap in and out. And this piece of elastic, which was a hairband, I've just sewed onto the piece of card there, and that just flips over like that, and you've got a nice little sort of like journaling folder, tag, thingy-majig, whatever you would like to call it. But I thought this was quite a nice one to make. A little bit longer than my normal tutorials, but I thought it was fun to make. So I have used an extra piece of this, which is from one of my other kits, which is the background papers. But again, you can use coffee stain paper, tea stain paper, anything else. And I've also got another little piece of card. So this is just card from an A4 piece of card, or whatever you've got as a backing. Which is just this piece, which I've actually popped this onto like that. Okay, so the first thing you want to do obviously is cut them all out. So just cut them all out like that, so they're all ready to go. These can go to the side. Now I'm going to glue this together. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to pop a little bit of glue down here like that on here, just to glue it together like that. Glue that on. Oops, I think I've used a little bit too much glue there. So that's glued it together, so you've got a little pouch there, and then what I've done, I've just glued the bottom up. Oops, a little bit of glue on there, and then just stick that down. So I think these are really nice ones. Got a few little vintage pictures in there, and some birds and some flowers. So I think the brown and the blue go together really well. Okay, so that is the little pocket that we've done. Now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to fold this piece of card that I've got. Doesn't really matter what you've got. I'm just going to fold that in half. Found this is the easiest way to do it, and I'm going to just stick that onto this edge here, to the folded edge. So I'm going to use, where's my glue stick? There we go. Bit of glue stick on here. Now you can sew this again, or it can be made without sewing. It's entirely up to you. So if you're a sewer, I think they look quite nice sewn on the sewing machine. But if you're not, it doesn't matter at all. So we're going to stick this, so remember to stick it along the edge of where you folded. So try and get it up as level as possible, up to the end like that. Stick that down. Perfect. And what you want to do is just cut round the whole thing, just like this. All the way round like that, and then we've got a little booklet like that. So that's perfect. So this can go to the side now. Now the other thing that I did, I popped that onto here, and I did the inside like this. All as I did was backed it with that paper, but again you don't have to, you can leave it plain. I'm going to back it, so I'm just going to pop some glue, stick on here like that. Like this, and just turn this over like that and stick this down. Like that. Make sure all stuck down nicely. And then again, all as we have to do, so a nice big blob of glue there. To this side. And what we've got to do then is just cut around it. Again, if you're not going to sew it, make sure you've glued it really well. Just cut this out like that. Oops. There. Like that. Pop that out, and then we just fold it down. Now before I fold it, I'm going to sew around it. I'm going to make sure, so I'm going to sew that. So I'm going to just leave that in there for a minute, because I'm going to make the other little bits first before I sew that, so I can do it all in one go. So we've got this one here. So I did make another tag. Now you can print this off twice. Where's my little booklet? Or I made a little tag out of the background paper instead of printing it off twice, because I still had some of this paper left. All as I did was put this down and cut around it, so I got another tag the same size. So you don't have to print it out twice if you don't need to, or if you don't want to. Just use up another little scrap piece of paper to make another tag. Just cut that out like that. Cut the little corners off. And then there we go. I've got another little tag the same size. And then here I've just got a little bit of graph paper, which I'm going to use for the backgrounds of here, of the tags. Like this. Doesn't really matter. I want the a little bit of this, because that's what I've popped in here like that. So I'm just going to back them with a little bit of this as well. So let's get a little bit of glue. Bit of glue on there. Just stick it down. Like that, and this one. Pop that on there. Then I'm just going to cut these out. So you can make this quite a nice longish project, or you can just put them all together and pop them in the tag pocket. So it's entirely up to you. There's lots of things you can do with this one, so I thought I'd give you a bit of a longer project today. go. Cut this one out. It doesn't have to be graph paper, you can put any bit of paper on there, and if you print it onto a thicker piece of card or a thicker piece of paper, you don't have to back it with anything. But this paper was a bit flimsy. I think I only printed it on 120 gram paper, so it's a little bit more flimsy than the other one. So okay, so that's the 2 tags like that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to sew around this, and I'm going to sew around both of these, so I'll be 2 seconds. Okay, so there we go. I've just sewn all the way around here and around the outside to keep that on. So now I'm just going to bend it in half again. So there we go, we've got our little pocket there, not a little pocket, our little folder. And I've just sewn around these as well, which I think look really nice. Chop the little bits off there. Okay, so now what we need to do, I'm going to first, I think, stick the pieces of paper in here. Now for the closure here, which is the button and the little piece of elastic, these are just like little hair bands, which I've got in this jar here so I don't lose them. They're just little cheap hair bands, like that, little bits of rubber, and they've got sort of like cotton wrapped around them. So I bought those because I thought they might come in handy for something, which is nice. So all I did, I've just sewed up to here as well afterwards, and the little button that I sewed on, which is here, I've actually glued 2 buttons together. I've glued a smaller one underneath and the bigger one on top, just so here you've got that little bit of room just to put your piece of elastic in there so it holds it better. So that's what I've just glued together, and then I will sew that on to the other one. So let's pop that to the side. So now I'm going to cut a couple of little bits of paper on here. So let me just get my cutter, which is here. So I want these, let's just eyeball them a little bit. So it's going to roughly be about there, whatever that's going to be, just under 3, just under 3 by, say there, by, that would be just under 5.5, just like that. So let us do this one. Is that right? Just under 5.5. That's about right, I think. Yes. Perfect. So now I'm going to round the edges and put those to the side, just with the corner punch, like that. Perfect. Put those there, and then these two just sit on there nicely. Whichever side. That's a lot lighter, isn't it? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this glue, I think, just to glue them on. Put that like that. Make sure that's stuck down nicely. And this one. Just tacky glue that I've got in there, so it's easier to use in the little pot. Okay, so that's that bit done. So then all we need to do on this bit, I popped it in. I just stamped on here notes on either side like that. So I've got my little these little stamps that I've used before. I've got a bit of stays on, just the black, jet black stays on. Oops. I'm just going to just random pop these on. You don't have to do this. Not very level, but never mind. There we go. Perfect. They can go back into my drawer. So that's done. So with this, the little pocket, that will just go over there like that. And I'm just going to make sure that's level. And I'm going to take an extra little piece of the paper that I've got here. I'm going to just measure it, just sort of eyeball it a little bit. Cut it down. Fold this in half, just like that. Don't want a huge big piece. Just like that, and just cut it down, just so it sort of looks a bit level. Just like that. I'm going to fold it this way. So that's the bit we're going to see, and all as you do is you stick that on here like that, and then that will be stuck down like that, and that just makes the flap. So let's pop a little bit of glue on. Which way were we going to do it? This way. Just like that. And then that will just glue onto the page. Make sure it's stuck down properly. Just like that. And then you've got a nice little page that just flaps open. Oops. Make sure it's stuck down. And then that will just pop in the pocket like that, which is perfect. Now you can decorate it as much as you like. This one I've just popped a little bow, some seam binding, a little bit of lace in there. So let's have a look. A little bit of seam binding here, not seam binding, a little bit of cheesecloth on here. Wrinkle it up, just like that. A little bit of glue. Just along the top. Just to make it a little nicer. It'll add something to it. You can obviously leave them plain if you want to. What else have we got? A little bit of this on here. A little bit of lace. Just stick that across. Perfect. Now what we need something to go on the top of this little tag, don't we? Now we've got a bit of seam binding here, which I'm just going to twist. And what I will do, I'll just glue it to the top there. Just like that. I will go back and sew along there so it stays on, and then that will just pop into the pocket. So there we go, that's a little flap pocket. There's a glue everywhere. So that looks good, doesn't it? So the front pocket, let's pop it this way. I'm just going to stick on like that. Just with a little bit of glue. I'll use this one. Oops. Just like that. Now you can stick that on before you sew around it, which I probably should have done. Stuck that first, and then you'd have the stitch marks on it. But never mind, I forgot about that bit. Okay, so there's your pocket, and then that one will go in the front. So you can decorate that one. All as I did was I cut out some of the design on one of the other ones and popped it onto there. Go in there. So now we have to pop on the button. Now obviously there are different ways that you can use this as a closure. You don't have to put the button on, but I quite liked it. I thought it was quite different. But you can just make a couple of little holes in there and tie it with a bit of seam binding. You can pop like one of these little, sort of like a little clip on there to hold it together. There's all sorts of different ways you can use the closure, and I thought this was quite a nice idea with a button. So what I need is, what's my little pokey here? Oops. What I did, I put that on here like that. Okay, and I just made some little holes in here, just like that, just so we know where to pop the needle to sew it on, just like that. And then you can see here where the little holes are on this side. Just poke it through, just like that. And then what you would do is just sew that on, just with a needle and thread, just sew that on like that, which I will do in a minute. And then I've got one of the little elastic bands here, so that will be attached to the back just here. So a little bit of glue, pop that on, just make sure we're in the right place. So that will just go round there and stick on here, just like that. And then I would go on the sewing machine and just ziggy-zaggy stitch that along there to hold it on. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let me just get my needle and thread. I just sewed it on here. Whoops. With a needle and thread like that, sew the button on. So I went through this way first, and then up like that, and then popped it through the button. Whoops. Okay, and then down through here like that, and then just keep going backwards and forwards, obviously how you would sew a button on, but I will speed this up because you don't really want to see me sewing on a button. What I'm going to do is speed this up, and then I'm going to go and sew that, so I will be back in 2 minutes. Okay, so there we go. I've sewn on the button like that, just hand sewn that on, and then I've sewn on that with the sewing machine with a little bit of a ziggy-zaggy stitch. Okay, so then that just goes on there, and that's your closure. Quite simple, and I think that looks quite nice as well. So then we've just got this little tag, which you can decorate however you like. Pop a little bit of seam binding on the top, I think. Oops. Just like that. Just glue a little bit on there. Pop that onto there like that. I will go over that with the sewing machine just to hold it on a little more, a little better. So that's good. So you've got journaling space on the back of your tag. Now let's have this. This is a spare piece. Maybe I could cut a little bit of this out to pop on the top, just to decorate the front of the tag. Oops. Perfect. Pop that on there. Let's have a little bit of ink around the edges, like that. I'll pop a little bit of cheesecloth underneath, I think. Just a tiny bit that can just go up at the top like that. A little bit of glue on there. Pop that like that. And then you've got another little tag just decorated in there. So I think that looks really nice. And then what we could do, we could even put like a little bow down on the front pocket. Just like that. Shove that off, open it up, and then we can just glue that on. A little bit of glue. Stick that down. Perfect. Whoops. Now you can decorate the back if you wanted to. You can pop another little bit of the backing paper on there, but I think that looks really nice, just like that. And then that flips out. Oops, pop that. You've got your little tag in there that we made, little pocket, and that comes out, and you've got these to write onto. So there we go, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Now again, you can do it differently. There's lots of different ways you can do it, because you can just use all your bits and pieces. So again, you've got two big tags. This is a little pocket. You can make that into a little book, or you can make these into just separate little journaling cards. So there's lots of things. So I can't wait to see what you come up with. I hope you enjoyed what I've done with mine. So I'm looking forward to seeing yours. Alright guys, will you take care, have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you soon. Alright guys, bye bye.